Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. The Hungry Gamer is back with another, I don't know what to call it, convention recap list. Yeah. Gotta work on that intro, I guess. Anyhow, point being, I just got back from Pax U this weekend, and the first time I've gone to Pax U, it is about the second biggest con I've been to. I went to Origins a few years ago, and first off, it was awesome. Just awesome. It was safe, there was space, it was calm, people were respectful, the booths were great. I just had an amazing time all around, and I want to talk about the top 10 games of the con for me. These are roughly in an order, and it doesn't matter too much really what the order is. I guess maybe number one matters a lot, but these are a mix of games that are coming down the road. Maybe I got to play a couple of rounds of it. Maybe I played a whole game of it. Some of these games are ones that are available now and are actually a little bit older. Some of them are relatively new this past year. And I'll kind of give it a breakdown of what each one is as I go through it. But the point is, these are the games that I am leaving the convention the most excited about. So I'll jump right in at number 10. Now, number 10 is only at number 10 because I didn't actually get to play it. I just came home with it. And so I haven't played it. I have actually only a vague notion of how it works. And this is mostly going on the unbelievable recommendation that Michael Kelly from One Stop Co-op, who I got to play a whole bunch of games with while I was there, and Mark Dainty of Not Board Gaming have given this game, and that is Final Girl from Van Ryder Games. This is a solo game, dice rolling, in which you take on the role of the final girl in the horror movie who is really just kind of fighting back and going to take out the monster, whatever it is. It does this really cool kind of thing that just kind of blows my mind. The core game is basically the VCR. And then you buy separate movies, VHS tapes type things to put into your core box, and you play different adventures. And I actually have 2 of the adventures, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out. And really, this one's only number 10 just because I haven't actually played it yet. I just know about it. So, number 10 is Final Girl. Coming in at number 9 is one that I'm actually going to be doing a preview for. And I knew that I was going to be doing a preview. And then when I saw that it was here at the convention, I said, you know what? Let me go try it. Let them teach me how to play this thing. And I can kind of get my brain around what's going to be happening. I can kind of suss out who it is that I want to be testing this with when it actually does show up. And that is Aldarra Reborn. Now, this is down at my number 9 because I feel like it has a huge potential for this. It's not a 4X game, a little bit 4X game, but really kind of an area controlled, troops on a map style thing with buckets and buckets and buckets of really cool plastic airships. And really, you had me at airship. So I'm really excited to kind of see how this game goes. I got to play a demo with 4 players total, so max player count, though I believe there's going to be expansion, let's go up to 6. And we only got to play 2 rounds, and we kind of started in the middle of the game, just kind of get a feel of it. And considering how much stuff there is, the game played pretty darn simply, which really has me excited that the game could possibly be relatively quick, though we shall see. I didn't get to play enough to really be able to gauge whether or not the game is fragile. There are some things that I was playing, I was like, I wonder what's going to happen as you move on through the game. So I don't know a lot, but I'm definitely excited to play it a little bit more. That is Aldarra Reborn. Now, number 8 is the first one that is an older game on the list. And this is one that I had kind of ignored for a couple of years. I believe it came out around the time I went to Origins a few years ago. And that's because when the game is described, it just doesn't sound fun. It doesn't make sense. You don't know what's going on until you play the game, and that is Letter Jam from CGE. We stayed up real late one night, myself and a couple of people from One Stop Co-op Shop playing the game and just laughing the whole way through. This is a game where you're going to be passing around letters to other players, and you have chosen letters that spell a word. And then they're all going to be placed face down in front of each player, and you're going to be holding one up away from you the whole time so you can't see it, and people are going to be giving clues using the letters around the table that everyone can see. Remember, you can't see yours, and you're using those clues to try to figure out what on earth your letter is. When you think you know, you put it down, you pick up the next one. Then at the end of the game, you're going to arrange your cards, still face down, you've never seen them, to try to spell a word. Doesn't have to be the same word as those passed to you, but to try to spell a word. Then you reveal them. It is in that reveal that hilarity ensues, as you can see by poor Michael Kelly from One Stop Co-op Shop right here. And yes, we were playing late. Everything was funny late at night, but oh my gosh, what a blast this game is. So my number 8, Letter Jam. Number 7 is another one that is an older game, and it's one that I had never heard of. I just happened to meet Aaron Bradley at the convention, and we were in the media room in the morning, and we just started playing some games every morning. And then we played this one game every single morning called Subastral. It's set collection, very, very simple. And it's in its simplicity that it is so much fun. We just had a great time with it every single morning. I'm probably going to buy myself a copy. It's an old one. I didn't even play it at the con. I literally just, someone had it in their backpack. But Subastral, I had such a good time with it. It comes in where it does. Now, number 6 is one that I got to play one round, and then I talked to the publisher about this game when I first arrived at the convention. And then I came back later on the last day, played it, then came back even later and said, can I cover this game? I'd love to cover this game. And that is Studies in Sorcery from Weird Giraffe Games. Now, this is one that, now, to be fair, I've only played one round all the way through. Though I will say, I'm going to call out Andy and King James from the Weird Giraffe demo team for having one of the best demos I've ever had. We had a blast. I wish I could have finished playing the whole game with them, but this is a relatively simple kind of a contract fulfillment type game where you are trying to finish your thesis in sorcery, and you're going out, you're taking on projects that you're going to do, and then to fulfill those projects, you need the right resources, and you're just kind of going out and you're digging around through grave sites and stuff, getting bones and earthworms and all kinds of stuff that you need to do these contracts. And as you fulfill these contracts, which are really projects, they might give you powers, it might give you bonuses, just points. Maybe the powers are related to the phase of the moon. And it's this very simple, fast game. But it's just something delightful about it in its simplicity, and I'm just really excited to play it with my wife, to play it with some other people. So that is Studies in Sorcery at my number 6. Now moving into my number 5. Now this one's not available yet, but you can still pre-order it, and I actually backed it on Kickstarter, and that is Meeples and Monsters from AEG. Now this one, I think is going to be available for backers in a month or so, and for retail in maybe a month or two after that. And this is a game that is a bag builder. You are going around and you're taking your meeples, you're putting your meeples out onto the board and turning them into different color meeples. The idea being is each different meeple's different thing. You start with a bunch of peasants, and then perhaps you can turn some peasants into warriors by training them, or they become clerics, or mages, or paladins, or whatever's going on. But as you're doing this kind of bag cultivation, bag building, and putting these meeples and stuff out on the board and getting new ones, you're also dealing with the monsters that are showing up around the town. And then if you don't keep the monsters in check, what happens is they're scaring all the peasants, and anytime you take an action, you get a whole bunch of peasants showing up in your bag. It doesn't sound too bad because you're saving the peasants, but the problem is peasants aren't very good. They're useless. Almost. Don't come at me if you're a peasant. You're not really useless. But if you're in my game of Meeples and Monsters, you're useless. Get out of my bag. Anyhow, and so you're doing this and you're trying to make sure you're taking out these monsters. To do that, you have to have the right collection of meeples, different types of meeples, paladins, wizards, clerics, whatever. And you're doing that as you're going around. At the same time, you're getting these quests that you're collecting. The fun thing about the quests is you got to be careful you don't just get a whole bunch of them, because if you don't finish them, most of them are going to actually take points away from you at the end of the game. And speaking of the points, you can use those points to level up your heroes, i.e. any color meeple that is not a peasant. And that's really good because it'll give them powers, it'll make them stronger, but of course it's also taking away your literal victory points. And so I got to just demo and do a whole game of it, which was just a delight. I was exhausted, but I was so engaged the whole game. It's fast, it's fun, and I do not regret my backing it for 1 second. Now that brings us into the number 4. And number 4 is one that is kind of sort of available now. It's just about to be fulfilled to all the backers, and they were kind enough, since I had only gotten a retail version of my own pledge. They're kind enough to let me pick it up right here, and that is Merchants of the Dark Road from Elf Creek Games. And this is one that is I'm not going to call it a heavy Euro, but it's not a simple Euro. It's a medium weight Euro game where it's just a board full of rondels. You got rondels, 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 rondels everywhere. Everything's a rondel. And you are, in Euro fashion, you are collecting goods. You're going to be getting the goods. You're going to be finding people to sell those goods to. So you're collecting all these goods. You're going to sell it to people to get money, of course. And then you're going to be getting commissions from the queen. So you can take these goods out onto the dangerous dark road to all the different towns that are out there. And of course, the people who you sold goods to, well, they just simply came to town to get these things. Now they want to go back, so they might go back to the places with you if you go out on the dark road. And when you take these people out there, you're going to get to have a little adventure on the dark road. It might be a dangerous one, might be less dangerous. You're going to be getting resources, and people are going to be able to come with you when you go, and so on and so on. But as you're going through, what you're managing is two separate scores. You're managing your gold, and you're managing your prestige. Your prestige, for the most part, just goes up. Your gold obviously goes up and down as you buy and you sell things, but at the end of the game, you're going to look at those two scores, gold and prestige, and whichever one is lower, that's going to be your base score, and then onto that, you'll be able to add any victory points you've earned from various deeds that you have. Think of in-game scoring conditions and stuff like that. And then to do all of that, you have a bit of a dice placement puzzle that you're doing. As every time you do an action, you're going to move dice around on your little board that you're also managing all your inventory on. And you'll be taking 3 core actions. And whatever action you take, whatever die you push up, that's going to tell you how far around the rondel you're going to move, and then what kind of action you're going to take. So there's a lot going on. There's a whole bunch of options, and I've now played the game 2 times and really am digging it and excited to kind of dig into the solo options that are available. It has a little kind of a solo campaign type thing as well, and you can actually find all of my thoughts on this as I'm going to try to get a video up next week. And here we are. We are coming down to the top 3 games of the convention for me, and number 3 is coming sometime, I believe, next June or July, and that is from Floodgate Games. That is called Kites. Now, Kites is something that reminded me so very much of one of my favorite games, Kushi Express. And not because it is similar really at all in gameplay, but it's similar in feeling. There's a feeling of great tension and fun stress that you have, because the idea is you're trying to keep all these different kites in the air as a team. And all you're doing for it is you're taking cards and you're playing cards one at a time, going around in the circle. But there's 6 sand timers out there. And if any of those sand timers ever run out, the idea is a kite has crashed. And so what's going to be happening is you're playing cards, actually how you flip sand timers, but of course some of them have just one color on it. Some have multiple colors on it. So you're trying to find the time to flip these sand timers before it runs out, but not flip it so quick that suddenly you don't have any time. You have to immediately flip it again. And it is just a blast. I'm really looking forward to checking it out whenever I can get my grubby little paws on it in June, or maybe a little before if I'm really, really lucky. And that is Kites from Floodgate Games. On to number 2. Number 2 is one that has been out for a while, and I've just been very excited for. I saw they had it there. They were running demos, and I didn't get to play a full game because they were kind of already going, and I walked up and I was just looking all sad and forlorn that I'd missed it. And the lovely woman who was doing the demo and playing, she said, "Oh, you want to jump in?" I was like, "Yes!" And I sat down, had a blast with it. We didn't quite finish because someone had to get up and go. They were running another booth or whatever. So I got, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of it came in. But man, it is a fun Euro game. And what you're doing is you're placing tiles in your cauldron and you're chaining together just different actions that you're going to be taking. And as you're chaining these actions together, you might be putting energy out on one board to allow you to connect different places on this kind of map type thing, and then send your own little witches out to see them. Or maybe you're moving up this wand track, or maybe you're moving around a little rondel and getting actions. And there's so many things going on, but the core of it is this little cauldron that you're putting these tiles in, and you're trying to connect them together, because every time you have symbols connected to each other and you put down a new one, you get to take more and more of that action, which is really, really fun and satisfying. And I just am so excited to play more of it. I really love the 2/3 of the game that I got to play. So that is Witchstone. It's been out for a while. It's been getting good buzz, and I think and I definitely think it warrants that buzz. And then we are coming to my number 1 game of the con. This is another one. Now, I only got to play a smidgen at the beginning, and I had a blast. I was with a great group. I actually got to play with the designer, Jerry Hawthorne, Jeremy Howard, and Michael Kelly. And we just played the beginning. That is Familiar Tales from Plaid Hat Games. This is Jerry Hawthorne's follow-up to Aftermath. It's an adventure book game, but man, does it pop. It has that same voice acting app that kind of tells all the story that we saw in Forgotten Waters. The voice acting is good. It has good sound design. And the way that the app works with its rules and the tutorial is just fantastic. And it's just awesome. This is a game that kind of takes the idea of the Disney princess and kind of flips it on its side a little bit, because in all those movies, there's always some kind of critter that's with the Disney princess that kind of helps them out. Well, in this one, the princess is a baby, and these wizards' familiars are taking care of it. And as you're going through, the choices that you make are going to change how the princess acts, what type of toddler she becomes, and what kind of adult that she becomes. And it's just really, really exciting to me. And then along with that, it's taken one more step mechanically from Aftermath, where it's taken away some of the randomness that you had there, and it's just gone full-on deck building. You are deck building your hand, your personal deck, and each of the different characters is different and beautifully illustrated. And you have each of these different characters, different decks, and they all are just fun to play with. And yes, it's not fully there. It still has that random die that you're going to roll, and I love my randomness. You know that about me. It's all in the storybook, and just, I'm so excited about it. If it half lives up to the expectations that I have from that first 30-minute play session that I did for the 20-hour game or whatever it is, it's going to be fan-freaking-tastic. I'm so excited that I pre-ordered it. You should go pre-order it too. I really think it's going to be wonderful. So there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 games of PaxU. I thought it was a great con. I'm definitely going to try to go back next year if I can, even though it is all the way across the country. And I am really, really tired right now. In fact, you can hear some of the words coming out of my mouth. There aren't words anymore, but I'm doing my best to get through it. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. I would love to know down in the comments which of those games that you have played or have heard of or are excited about or whatever. If you were at PAX U, what games really got you excited? As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.